All right, so we're diving into the world of growth hacking today with Ryan Holiday's Growth Hacker Marketing.
It's a fascinating book.
Really is.
Yeah.
It's like a crash course in building a business that doesn't just grow, but like explodes.
Yeah. What's really interesting is growth hacking kind of throws the old marketing playbook out the window.
Yeah.
It's all about data, agility, and really laser focusing on rapid growth.
Yeah. This book was a total game changer for me.
Yeah.
It's like, forget those old school tactics,
Yeah,
Growth hacking starts way before you even think about launching a product.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It all begins with what Ryan Holiday calls product market fit.
Right.
And in a nutshell, that just means making sure your product is something people are actually craving,
Yes.
you know?
Like finding that perfect recipe,
Yeah.
right? Your product solves a problem that your target audience is actually hungry for.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And Holiday uses some great examples in the book, like
Wow.
Airbnb. Did you know they didn't start as this global platform for, any kind of lodging?
Yeah.
They literally began by renting out air mattresses on their living room floor.
Wait, seriously?
That's true.
I had no idea.
And, they kept refining their business model based on what their users were telling them,
Wow.
pivoting and tweaking until they hit that sweet spot.
Okay, so that's a major takeaway right there.
Right.
Like, we need to be paying attention to those surveys
Yes.
and feedback forms because they could be gold mines.
Absolutely. You have to be willing to adapt.
Yeah.
And make tough choices.
Right.
Sometimes that means ditching features or even completely rethinking your approach.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to do it,
It is, but that's how you find that product market fit.
right? Yeah.
Think about Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
They began as a location-based social network,
I didn't know that.
but they quickly realized that people were way more interested in sharing photos.
Oh, interesting.
And that single observation led to them becoming the billion-dollar company we know today.
Right.
Or look at Snapchat.
Hmm.
They found their niche and just completely dominated it.
Yep. Okay, so let's say you've nailed a product market fit.
Yeah.
Your product is killer.
Yeah.
People love it.
Right.
But how do you actually shout it from the rooftops
Right.
and get the word out?
Exactly.
That's where the real growth hacking magic happens, right?
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Holiday dedicates a whole chapter to this.
Okay.
It's all about finding your growth hack.
Okay.
Think of it as a secret weapon,
Right.
a strategic move that helps you attract those early adopters.
It's like finding a shortcut to growth.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Dropbox did with their demo video.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how they packed it with inside jokes specifically for tech communities?
Oh, that was brilliant.
And it ended up exploding on sites like Dig and Reddit.
Yeah, they knew exactly who their target audience was, and they tailored their content perfectly.
Right.
And speaking of genius, remember that crazy stunt Airbnb pulled with Craigslist?
Oh, yeah.
You mean where they figured out a way to cross-post their listings on Craigslist?
That was insane.
Right. They
Wow.
got free distribution on one of the biggest websites in the world just by thinking outside the box.
So instead of spending a fortune on ads, they hijacked a platform their target audience was already using.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
That's growth hacking right there.
So the lesson there is we need to figure out where our potential customers are hanging out online and find creative ways to reach them without breaking the bank.
Yeah, exactly. That's the growth hacker mindset in action.
Okay, so you've got your product,
Yeah.
you found your growth hack, and you're starting to gain some traction.
Right.
But let's be honest, everyone dreams of going viral.
Of course.
You know?
Who doesn't?
Is there a secret formula to make that happen?
Well, Holiday argues that virality isn't just about luck.
Okay.
It's about engineering it.
Right?
He uses companies like Groupon and Living Social as examples. They literally built virality into their offers.
So they incentivized sharing
Exact.
by giving discounts or freebies if you got your friends to sign up.
Right.
It's like tuning your customers into an army of marketers.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's not about forcing people to share. It's
Wow.
about making it irresistible and rewarding.
Right.
Remember Spotify's integration with Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly everyone could see what their friends were listening to,
Mhm.
and it created this massive ripple effect.
It's like free advertising.
Right, exactly.
You're harnessing the power of social connections to spread the word. Even something as simple as Apple's white headphones was a brilliant move,
Oh, yeah.
turning every iPod user into a walking billboard.
Exactly.
And don't forget Dropbox. They offered extra storage space if you linked your account to Facebook or Twitter.
Right.
It was a win-win.
Yeah.
Users got more storage, and Dropbox got more exposure. So it's about finding clever ways to encourage sharing without being pushy or annoying.
Right.
Make it feel natural and rewarding, and people will be happy to spread the word.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered product market fit, finding your growth hack, and going viral. But what happens when the initial hype dies down?
Right.
How do you keep those users engaged and coming back for more?
Well, that's where retention and optimization take center stage.
Okay.
And Holiday highlights how Twitter discovered that users who followed at least 5 people
Right.
were much more likely to stick around.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Such a simple insight led to millions of active users.
It all comes down to tracking the right metrics.
Right.
Forget vanity metrics like website traffic. What really matters is user engagement and retention.
Right.
You need to be constantly tweaking and improving your product based on what the data tells you.
Yeah.
A perfect example is Airbnb offering professional photography for listings.
Right.
That wasn't a typical marketing move,
Right.
but it had a huge impact on user experience and ultimately growth.
It's like they weren't just thinking about marketing, they were thinking about creating a better product.
Exactly. That's the heart of growth hacking.
So it's not just about bringing in new customers, it's about creating an experience so good that they never want to leave.
Precisely.
And that brings us to Ryan Holiday's own growth hacking case study.
Yes.
He actually put these principles to the test
He did.
while promoting Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Chef,
And
and they had a major obstacle. No retail stores would carry the book.
talk about a real-world challenge.
Right.
They had to get seriously creative and go all in on online platforms.
Wow.
They partnered with BitTorrent for massive downloads
Wow.
and targeted influential bloggers with personalized outreach.
BitTorrent. That's pretty wild for book marketing.
It was, but it worked.
Okay.
They created this incredible package of excerpts,
Yep.
interviews, and bonus materials, and they made it completely free to download.
Okay.
Talk about a try-before-you-buy strategy.
Yeah.
This allowed people to get a taste of the book's content and hopefully be motivated to buy the full version.
That's brilliant.
It was a clever way to overcome that retail distribution challenge.
And to top it off, they leveraged Tim Ferriss's existing online platform to spread the message even further.
Right. They had a built-in audience.
Right.
Ready to go.
Yeah, this multi-pronged approach, combining content marketing, social media, and clever growth hacks, turned the book into a bestseller, despite the lack of traditional retail distribution.
Right.
That's incredible.
It's a testament to the power of thinking differently
Yeah.
and adapting to challenges.
So this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of growth hacking so far. But before we move on, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
We've talked about applying these principles to businesses,
Right.
products, and even books. But how can you apply these concepts to your own work, your ideas, even yourself?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore further in this deep dive.
Okay.
The key is to shift your mindset away from traditional marketing and embrace a more experimental, data-driven approach.
So it's not about following a set playbook.
Yeah.
It's about being creative,
Yeah.
testing different approaches,
Right? Yeah.
and constantly optimizing for growth.
Exactly. And it's about focusing on creating value for your audience,
Right.
whether that's customers, clients, or even just your own network.
So we'll be back with part 2 of our deep dive into growth hacker marketing after a quick break.
Sounds good.
Don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
It really is about that mindset shift.
Right.
You know, think about your own work or projects.
Yeah.
How can you make them more shareable?
Right.
How can you build a community around them?
Yeah.
How can you use data and feedback to make them even better?
It's almost like turning yourself into a growth hacker, right?
Exactly. We all have that potential,
Yeah.
you know, to create something that grows and spreads,
Right.
whether it's a business, an idea, or even just a piece of content.
It's exciting to think about really taking control of your own growth and not being afraid to experiment and try new things.
And remember, the best marketing often doesn't even feel like marketing. It feels like genuine connection,
Yeah.
valuable content,
Right.
an amazing experience.
Speaking of amazing experiences, let's dive into some specific tactics that Holiday highlights in the book.
Okay.
One that really grabbed my attention was this concept of hacking existing platforms
Right?
to reach a wider audience. What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, think back to that Airbnb example we discussed earlier.
Okay.
Their Craigslist hack was a classic case of leveraging a platform that their target audience was already using.
Right.
By seamlessly cross-posting their listings,
Mm-hmm.
they tapped into Craigslist's massive user base and got free distribution.
It's like they found a shortcut to growth by piggybacking off of someone else's success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it shows how growth hackers are always looking for creative ways to leverage existing resources. Another great example is PayPal's early growth strategy. They realized that eBay was the perfect market for their online payment system.
Because everyone on eBay needed a way to send and receive money online, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So PayPal created a plugin that made it super easy for eBay users to pay with PayPal.
Smart.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
They tapped into eBay's massive user base and quickly became the go-to online payment system.
It's like they struck gold by simply understanding their target audience and finding a clever way to reach them.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And these principles aren't just for tech companies either.
Right.
Think about a local restaurant.
Okay.
They could partner with a food delivery app to reach a wider audience,
Right.
or offer a discount to customers who check in on social media.
It seems like the possibilities are endless if you're willing to get creative and think outside the box.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of thinking outside the box,
Okay.
Holiday also talks about the importance of stunts in growth hacking.
Ooh, stunts. That sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
It's about grabbing attention in a big way. Finding creative and buzzworthy ways to get people talking about your product or service.
Okay.
Take Uber's Valentine's Day stunt, for example.
Okay.
They offered to deliver roses to people's sweethearts.
Oh, I remember that.
It was genius.
That was so smart.
It generated so much media coverage and social media buzz.
Who wouldn't want a surprise rose delivery from Uber? Talk about a real-life romantic comedy playing out on the streets.
It was a perfect match for their brand message of convenience and luxury.
Totally.
And remember when they partnered with ice cream trucks to deliver frozen treats on demand?
Oh, that was amazing.
They tapped into everyone's inner child.
What a fun and unexpected experience for their customers. I bet it generated a ton of positive PR.
It did.
But let's be honest, stunts can be risky if they're not well planned, right?
Oh, definitely.
They could totally backfire.
They need to be carefully aligned with your brand values.
Right.
You don't want to alienate your target audience or create a PR nightmare.
Yeah, for sure.
And always be prepared for the unexpected. Things don't always go according to plan.
Of course.
So you need to be able to adapt on the fly.
So it's important to weigh the potential risks and rewards before launching a stunt.
Right. And it's crucial to remember that stunts are just one piece of the growth hacking puzzle.
Right.
They're a great way to get attention, but they're not a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
You still need a solid product and a sound marketing plan.
For sure.
Stunts are like a spice.
Right.
A little can go a long way, but too much can ruin the dish.
Well said.
Okay.
This deep dive into growth hacking has been truly eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's amazing how this approach is changing the game for businesses. Was there anything in Holiday's book that really surprised you?
You know, one thing that really struck me was his emphasis on customer retention.
Okay.
He argues that it's far more cost-effective to keep your current customers happy
Right.
than to constantly chase after new ones.
It makes sense. It's like building a loyal fan base,
Yeah.
right? Instead of just chasing fleeting trends.
Exactly. He talks about offering personalized recommendations, providing top-notch customer support, and simply asking for feedback as key ways to keep customers engaged.
Yeah.
It's all about making them feel valued and appreciated,
Right.
not just like a transaction.
So it's not just about getting customers in the door. It's about creating an experience so good that they never want to leave.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's where growth hacking excels.
Yeah.
It provides a framework for considering the entire customer journey.
Right.
From acquiring them to keeping them and turning them into passionate advocates for your brand.
It's like a holistic approach to growth,
Yeah.
not just a bunch of one-off tactics.
Right. And I think that's why so many startups and small businesses are embracing this philosophy.
Yeah.
It's about building a sustainable system that drives long-term success.
Well, you've done a fantastic job of breaking down these growth hacking principles.
Thanks.
But before we wrap up part 2, I have one final question for you. If you had to distill the essence of growth hacking into one key takeaway,
Okay.
what would it be?
I'd say growth hacking is all about being resourceful, creative, and data-driven.
Okay.
It's about questioning traditional marketing norms and constantly looking for innovative ways to grow your business.
So it's not about following a formula.
No.
It's about cultivating a mindset.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's a way of thinking that empowers you to experiment, learn, and adapt
Right.
to the ever-changing landscape of business and marketing.
It's about pushing boundaries and trying things that might seem unconventional.
Yeah,
Because sometimes those unconventional approaches lead to the biggest breakthroughs.
absolutely. Now, you mentioned applying these ideas to yourself earlier.
Right, yeah.
Have you had any aha moments
I have.
where these principles clicked for you on a personal level?
Actually, yes. I was working on a project
Okay.
where we were trying to generate buzz for a new product launch,
Mm-hmm.
and we brainstormed all the usual marketing tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Press releases, social media, blitzes, influencer outreach,
Yeah.
but nothing felt quite right.
Okay.
It all felt a bit forced and inauthentic.
You were looking for that spark,
Yes.
that growth hacking magic to make it stand out.
Exactly. And then it hit me, we needed to create an experience.
Okay.
Something people would be excited to talk about and share.
So you tossed the old playbook out the window and got creative.
We did. We decided to host a series of exclusive events
Okay.
in major cities,
Nice.
inviting influencers, media, and potential customers to experience the product firsthand.
Cool.
It was like a sneak peek,
Yeah.
a behind-the-scenes look at something special.
Mm.
We had live music, delicious food,
Oh, nice.
and interactive demos to engage all the senses.
You appealed to their emotions, not just their logic.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you know what? It worked.
Awesome.
People were blown away by the experience.
Yeah.
And they couldn't wait to tell their friends about it.
Cool.
We ended up getting tons of social media buzz.
Nice.
And some fantastic media coverage.
Okay. It's a perfect example of how growth hacking can be applied even with limited budgets and resources.
It really is.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that the best marketing often doesn't even feel like marketing. It feels like something special, something worth talking about.
Exactly.
And sometimes those are the experiences that make the biggest impact. Now let's move on to part 3 of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll explore some of the more technical aspects of growth hacking. Stay tuned. So we've talked about like the big ideas and like, splashy campaigns.
Great.
But I'm also curious about like the nuts and bolts of growth hacking.
Mm-hmm.
Like what are some of the more technical things
Okay.
that someone new to this might need to learn?
That's a great question. You don't need to be a coding genius to be a growth hacker, but understanding some basic technical concepts can give you a real advantage.
Okay, like what exactly?
Oh, yeah.
Give us a peek behind the curtain.
So one thing that comes up a lot in the book is A/B testing.
Okay.
And it's a technique where you create 2 different versions of something, like a web page or an email subject line,
Yeah.
and then you test them side by side to see which one performs better.
So it's like a science experiment.
Exactly.
You're trying to figure out what actually makes a difference.
Yeah, and the beauty of A/B testing is that it takes the guesswork out of marketing.
Right.
You're not relying on intuition.
Right.
You're letting the data guide your decisions.
That makes a lot of sense. I can't believe how much time I've wasted in the past, like agonizing over decisions that I could have easily tested.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Right.
But that's the beauty of growth hacking. It's all about being data-driven and focusing on what actually works.
Okay, A/B testing is definitely going on my to-learn list.
Good.
What else should we be paying attention to?
Another important concept is understanding how to use APIs,
Okay.
which stands for Application Programming Interfaces.
Okay.
In simple terms, they're like messengers that allow different software programs to talk to each other.
So like how Spotify can connect with Facebook.
Exactly.
That's using an API.
Well, it's using an API.
Okay. And a lot of the clever growth hacks we've talked about rely on using APIs effectively.
It's like learning a secret language that unlocks all these new possibilities.
It really is.
Wow.
And the best part is there are tons of resources available online to help you get started with APIs.
Okay.
You don't have to be a programmer,
Right.
but even a basic understanding can open up a lot of doors.
This is all starting to feel much less intimidating.
It should be.
Okay.
Remember, the growth hacking community is incredibly supportive and collaborative.
Okay.
There are online forums, blogs, podcasts where you can learn from the pros
Cool.
and get all your questions answered.
It's like a whole movement, a new way of thinking about business.
It is, and it's an exciting time to be a part of it.
Totally. One of the things that really resonated with me about Holiday's book was this emphasis on experimentation
Yeah,
and being okay with failure.
that's so important.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like he's giving you permission to break the rules and try things that might seem crazy at first. Exactly. He talks about how failure isn't the opposite of success.
Right.
It's part of the journey.
It reminds me of that Thomas Edison quote.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work.
Exactly.
Damn.
That's the beauty of growth hacking. It's
Yeah.
a process of testing, learning, and iterating.
Right.
You're not going to hit a home run every time.
Right.
But the key is to learn from your mistakes
Yeah.
and keep moving forward.
Embrace that fail fast, learn fast mentality.
Exactly. And that's what keeps growth hacking so fresh and dynamic. It's a constantly evolving field where there's always something new to discover.
Yeah, I think we've done a pretty incredible deep dive into growth hacker marketing today.
Yeah, it's been fun.
We've uncovered the key concepts, explored real-world examples,
Right.
and even touched on some of the technical aspects.
We did a little bit of everything.
And we've hopefully shown that growth hacking is much more than just a buzzword. It's a mindset, a philosophy that can completely change the way you approach business marketing and even life itself.
I think so.
So to our listeners, if you're feeling inspired to ditch the old playbook
Yeah.
and embrace a more data-driven, experimental approach,
Do it.
I highly recommend checking out Growth Hacker Marketing.
It's a great book.
It might just change the way you think about everything.
It might.
It definitely changed mine.
Mine too.
And remember, the journey to 1 million users begins with a single hack.
That's a good one.
Keep experimenting, keep learning, and keep growing.
Couldn't have said it better myself.